want to applaud beforehand and applaud afterwards. Campaign season is always an exciting time. You get to meet your neighbors and your friends, and you get to ask them to help you do something. And so we're here to help Eric Silverman on his run and campaign for school committee. He's asked me to introduce a few people here. I'm Joel Winnett, town meeting member, and I like to recognize the people that are here. We have Chris Walsh. Stand up, Chris. Chris Walsh, our state representative. We have some school committee people here. Beverly Hugo from the school committee. And Adam Blummer is from the school committee over here as well. We'll move to the Board of Health. Michael Hugo, elected official. And then we have our town, many of us here, the rest of us are town meeting members. I won't call all of our names, but there's some significant people here. Audrey Hall, who will speak with you, chair of the Ways and Means Committee. Audrey is here. We have Scott Estes, who's the chair on the Finance Committee, was previously on Ways and Means. And we have Sam Miskin, who's from the Framingham Teachers Association. So that's an official position as well. And so now for some more substantive comments, I'd like to call Scott to make some few comments about Eric.
Well, thank you, Joel, and thank you everybody for coming out tonight and showing your support for Eric. It'll probably come as no surprise to you, since I'm standing here before you talking on Eric's behalf, that I'm thrilled to hear that he's decided to invest his considerable talents into serving our community as a member of the school committee. I had to confess that when I first heard that Adam was not going to decide to seek another term, I was a little bit disappointed. Well, actually, I was really disappointed because I've always valued Adam's contributions to our community through the school committee. So I was thinking to myself, man, those are some really big shoes to fill. Who in our community is going to step up and fill those big shoes? And I was worried because it's, frankly, probably somewhat of a thankless task. I mean, you're spending countless hours away from your home and family, trying to digest massive amounts of information regarding complicated policies on education, mandates, balancing budgets, and town-wide fiscal responsibilities. And it really concerned me because I wasn't sure who was going to have the nerve to step up to the plate and accept the challenge. So when I heard that Eric was willing to invest his time and energies into that, I was tickled pink. Because, it is, as I said, a thankless job. I mean, on a good night, you're spending a lot of time tackling some challenging problems, probably not getting very much acknowledgement from our community in the way of thanks or appreciation for the work you do. And let's face it, that's on a good night. On the bad night, you're probably in a room full of angry parents or teachers who think you're the second coming of Darth Vader for some policy that you've enacted or perceived failure to enact a policy. So I'm not sure if you realize what you're getting yourself into, Eric, but it's awesome that you.
We wish him well.
So when I think about the attributes that will make a successful school committee member, things that come to my mind are obviously passion, intelligence, commitment to children, and probably also a hefty dose of having a thick skin and a lot of pragmatism. And as I've known Eric over the last few years, as we've served in town meeting together, I've come to appreciate that Eric probably has all those attributes in spades. So, obviously, as many of you know, he's a professor. So education is in his blood. He lives and breathes it every day. So he has a deep understanding of the challenges that our educators face on a daily basis in today's
Leave something
society.
for somebody else to say, too.
All right. So, thanks for throwing me off my game.
Now he just screwed up your.
He's he was the moderator once. That's
So, yeah, the other things, obviously, as you may know, time served on the school committee gives him a first-hand understanding of the challenges that directly affect our school district, not just education in general. Also a current member of the Standing Committee on Ways and Means, so he has a good understanding of the big picture in terms of trying to get the best for our schools within the budget constraints that our whole community faces in terms of serving all of the needs of the community. So in the interest of cutting this short and not stealing anybody else's material, I just want to say, particularly in light of the fact that this is an uncontested election, I don't really feel the need to say, please vote for Eric, but rather let me take this opportunity to say thank you, Eric, and thank you too, Adam.
And to augment Scott's comments, we have Audrey Hall, who's been involved in education, PTO, and town meeting. And Audrey, I'll let you talk about yourself and how you think Eric can help out the town.
Okay, thank you. I'm not going to talk about myself. Thanks anyway. I'll save that for another time. I do like to, but I'll wait. You know, I have some notes here. Didn't want to miss anything, Eric, because I have some very specific things I want to say to help support you in this great endeavor. There's a saying, you know, that everything happens for a reason. And it's a saying that can really drive you crazy, especially when you don't think that things are going the way you want. For example, about 2 years ago, Eric ran for a seat on the Board of Selectmen against 2 incumbents and 2 other newcomers, right? Something interesting happened during that election. People met Eric, they listened to what he had to say, and they kept asking, why isn't he running for the school committee? He'd be great on the school committee. He's so passionate about education, and he sees how education can actually bring a community together and how it can move a community forward. He has great ideas, and he's so bright. Why isn't he running for school committee? Well, Eric didn't win the seat on the Board of Selectmen, and it was one of those times when things happen for a reason, but the reason at that time wasn't exactly clear. But now, 2 years later, I think that reason is very clear. That past campaign and the work that he's done since then has laid the groundwork for the position that he was meant to have. The job he is most needed for, and the place where this town will greatly benefit from having him, on the Framingham School Committee. Now, don't get me wrong, town meeting will lose a very good member, and as the chair of the Standing Committee on Ways and Means, I'll be losing the clerk of my committee. And when Eric came on to the Standing Committee on Ways and Means, I had the opportunity then to work more deeply and more closely with him. And I now know that Eric is an excellent listener and a deep, thorough thinker. He takes in the information and he looks at it from many different perspectives. He asks excellent questions, and he makes the decisions with very thoughtful care. That's his style. And now, since serving as a member of the Standing Committee on Ways and Means, he's also deepened and broadened his perspective and his understanding of the town's finances, operations, challenges, culture, and the town's nuances. So let's put it all together. Back in 2011, Eric saw education as a vehicle for bringing the town together and elevating the town by making education a priority. He talked about education and he stressed its importance, and he did so as a candidate for the Board of Selectmen, which in itself was unique and also refreshingly eye-opening. It was his first time out of the gate, but people heard him loud and clear, and they liked what he had to say, so much that they tried to redirect him to the school committee. It's been 2 years since then, and now he's more experienced overall. He is so ready to be at the table. And I'm talking about the table the public wanted him to be seated at 2 years ago. And there's a seat right there with his name on it, Eric Silverman for school committee. Eric can and will do what he said. He's going to work to connect and enhance the community through education. He cares, he has the ambition, and all the skills. But most importantly, Eric has the enthusiasm, and he has the genuine interest. And we need him now, and he needs us. So please give him your support for school committee. Thank you.
Audrey, you've laid the groundwork for how we get to learn about an individual and they prove themselves. And now to tell everybody else of what he's getting himself into. Adam, what is it like to be on a school committee?
Don't say everything.
Right.
I have to deal with her all the time that you're not dealing with.
Right.
Hi, everybody. I will say I'm not going to answer that question directly. I've mastered that art of ignoring the questions that are difficult. I'll say when Eric and I emailed a couple months ago, and he emailed to talk about the idea of him running for school committee, I instantly offered to buy him, coffee, tea, or whatever it took for this. When I've known Eric for several years. I've seen him in school committee meetings. I've seen him at town meeting. And I can say without a doubt he has exactly the qualities you want in a school committee member. School committee is an interesting position, in the sense that you have to advocate as hard as you can for the schools at town meeting, but you also have to understand what other needs in the town are, because that's the only way you can be an effective advocate. If you don't understand the variety of perspectives, you're not going to make a persuasive argument. It's easy to argue with the people who already agree with you. The challenge is to persuade the people who don't. And Eric has a great background for that. He sat on town meeting. He's been on several committees in town meeting. He understands what legitimate concerns people across the town have about education, but also about fire and police and public works. And what's great about Eric is his vision is all-encompassing, like Audrey said. He understands that if you have good schools, you have a better town. If you have an investment in children in our town, we actually have a better Commonwealth. And if the Commonwealth is better, the United States is better. And it really does start here. It starts in, we're a big town, and we actually have a big impact on what happens not just in the Metro West, but beyond. So he has the ability, he has relationships with people across town, he has the passion and the energy and the care. You can't talk with him for more than 2.5 minutes without knowing that this is his issue. Education is his issue, and it's not just a passing concern to him. It's sort of his lifeblood. It's his work, and it's what he wants to do, not just for his children, but for everybody else's in the community and for the community as a large. I'm fully confident he'll come, and what he'll do is what he's done at town meeting. He'll look at information, he'll ask thoughtful questions, he'll push, not because he is disagreeing, but because he wants the final decision and the final presentation of any information to be as clear and persuasive and airtight as possible. And we do have challenges. I'm assuming, hoping, praying that by the time that he gets there, we don't have a teacher contract issue, that gets resolved. But regardless of when that is, whether that's 3 days from now or further that, we're going to walk into a school year and we're still going to be talking about our facilities and what's the best place for a middle school and an elementary school with an enrollment that's getting bigger. We're going to be looking at how we can support new leadership, which I think is off to a good start, but how we can support them in terms of fiscally at town meeting, but also in terms of organizationally, how to build a larger grassroots set of organizing people to help the schools. There's a lot of challenges, and the great thing about Eric is he's actually excited about each one. So with that, I'll say I welcome his presence on the board, and if I can support you, Eric, in any way, I will. And to you all, you will need to come and support Eric, even if he does end up being uncontested, but he will be the first to say that this is the beginning. You need to continue at town meeting. You need to have conversations with other people. You need to build a wide base of support for the schools. That's what's good for our kids and for our teachers and for our community. So, thank you.
Thank you, Eric. The people have spoken about Eric and what we expect from him and we know we'll get from Eric. And now it's our time, Eric. We want to hear from you directly. Come tell us what you're going to do and how you do it on the school committee. Eric Silverman.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here tonight. I haven't been in a classroom in many weeks, but I have brought my lecture notes. I hope I don't lecture too long. I've been cautioned by my family. I'm thrilled at your presence, and I'm thrilled at the support I've received from all of you and so many town leaders, including Audrey, whose leadership on Ways and Means is extraordinary. I've learned a great deal from her. Adam, Scott, thank you for your support and your very kind words. I value all of your encouragement, all of your counsel, and I also want to say thank you, Adam, for your many years of service on school committee. We are grateful. Some 6 years ago, I made the rounds of my neighborhood. I knocked on doors. I sought signatures so I could run for town meeting. What fueled my interest? No surprise, it was education, the schools. I was committed to enlisting community support for public education in Framingham. I entered town government because I knew that as good as our schools are, and indeed they are, they can be better. And that is my pledge to you this evening, that I will harness my professional and my civic skills and my passion for education to moving our schools forward. Now, when elected, I will be one of 7 elected members on the board. Frankly speaking, there is little that I can do by myself. We govern by committee, by collaboration, not by fiat. However, to use an early childhood metaphor, I play well with others. I am eager to collaborate with the other members of school committee, and I also emphasize that I am eager to collaborate with the superintendent, the business manager, the teachers, the board of selectmen, the chief financial officer, and town meeting. I see this as a collaborative effort. Let us unite in common purpose to move the schools forward. But what exactly does that mean? Moving the schools forward means a commitment to enhancing our assets, but also to besting our challenges. The assets of our schools include our teachers, to be certain. And I want the teachers and I want parents to know that they will have an ally in me when I am elected to school committee. After all, I'm an educator myself, and one of my assets, as it were, is 2 decades of professional experience in higher education, and I plan to harness that experience to the school committee. The assets of our schools also include many engaged parents and an active citizenry. Our assets include, after years of fiscal cutting, a commitment by the entire community to begin a process of rebuilding. And I look forward to joining that process and encouraging it. Our school assets include the SAGE program, a lively athletics program, wonderful drama productions, robust AP courses, and our diversity. And on this point, we are and we should be the envy of Metro West. In our high school, for example, we have students who speak over 50 languages at home. This is extraordinary. It is a wonderful asset that enhances one of the most vital missions of a public school system today, which is to prepare young people for productive, engaged, global citizenship in the 21st century. Framingham schools are a microcosm of the world at large, and for that, we are very, very lucky. What about our challenges? Alas, they are many. We need to make progress on several issues. First, we need to address a shortage of space, particularly in the younger grades. We know this, it will happen, we'll move forward on this issue. We need to control certain areas of the school budget that are escalating at an alarming rate, one of which is special education, and we need to pressure the state again and again to fulfill its obligation to do justice to special education students. We need to reduce the achievement gap as measured by the state through our latest MCAS scores. We must guarantee educational excellence for all. And right now, we are just not doing as good a job as we can, especially in regard to our low income, our minority, and our limited English proficiency students. We owe them better. We have over 8,000 students in our school system. Our high school, by the way, is the 6th largest in the Commonwealth. Are we certain that all 8,000 students have an equal place in our vision for educational excellence? Are we teaching all of them sufficiently so they can all excel to their full potential? And if the answer is not an unequivocal yes, then we have work to do. Our student diversity obligates us to make certain that we harness a broad spectrum of best practices in and outside the classroom, so no groups of students are ever marginalized, demoralized, undereducated, or at a high risk of failing to graduate. Whether a student goes on to college or to a career, I want to be certain that they can depend upon our schools for a good, solid foundation for success. We need to enhance collaboration between the schools in other parts of the community, with the Board of Selectmen, with parents, community leaders such as yourselves. It does, in fact, take a village to educate a child. We need to boost curricular innovation, maintaining uncompromising rigor in our core academic areas, but I'd like to see us explore new and exciting initiatives. The STEM initiative, for example. Do we have enough staff to thoroughly educate our children in social sciences, in foreign languages, and in global history? Is our curriculum dynamic? Is it broad enough so that we prepare students to grapple with the difficult global, social, and moral questions as we enter and engage the 21st century? We need to foster cutting-edge technologies and cutting-edge teaching strategies in classroom technologies. 21st century education requires the development and the implementation of new paradigms. I want those paradigms to begin here in Framingham. We can and should be an educational leader in the Commonwealth and in the nation, quite frankly. And last, to echo what a number of the very kind speakers said, we need to meet these challenges and others, and we need to innovate in ways that are fiscally responsible. And my years on town meeting have taught me an enormous amount about the machinations of town government, about competing interests, about how we're supposed to negotiate limited funds, about the whole fiscal process and all the different groups that weigh into all budgetary considerations. My priority will be the schools, but I will contextualize that priority within broader town needs. I am very proud of our public school system. My own kids flourished at Stapleton, and they continue to do so at Cameron and at the high school. I have watched them learn Spanish and Italian and French, act in drama productions, program C++, delight in the Sage offerings, jam with the middle school bands, pull on a JV Flyers basketball t-shirt. And my oldest is not here precisely for that reason. He just would not miss a practice. And I've watched my children learn with people from different ethnicities and people who represent a broad range of learning styles. For all this, I am deeply grateful. And it is now time for me to harness my skills, give back to the community, and help steer the schools in new directions, because I want every family in Framingham to feel equally proud and gratified with our school system. And I know that can happen. In other elections, I have stated, and I'm going to state again tonight, that a strong school system is essential to preparing our children for the future. A strong school system is also essential to ensuring the value of our homes, the vibrancy of our neighborhoods, for attracting new businesses and residents to our town. A strong school system is the heart of a vibrant, engaged, productive, thriving community. But in closing, I want to be honest with you today. You're the taxpayers who are going to pay for a lot of this. You're the parents who are going to keep a watchful eye on myself and my colleagues on school committee, monitoring carefully what we do and perhaps what we do not do. You are the electorate who will vote me on school committee this April and who will vote me out if I do not do well by you. But you are not my main concern. You are not my main constituency. I have over 8,000 others I wish to attend to first. I want to do well by them. And if I do, rest assured, I will do well by you. As a member of school committee, my moral and professional charge will be to translate my extensive experiences as an educator, a parent, and a member of town government to make certain that all of our children receive equal and full access to the finest education possible. I promise to steward a progressive, innovating, nurturing, and inclusive public school system that puts educational excellence within reach of all the town's children. Thank you, and onward.
Eric, may your enthusiasm take you through many levels and make you help you implement what you've just said, because the enthusiasm you just expressed is really what allows our leaders in town government. And I thank you very much. And to sum it all up and to make it all possible, our last speaker is Jim Stockless, who's going to tell you what it takes to run an election, what it takes to become a candidate and an elected official. Jim.
That was a great introduction, and it's easy. Money. We are talking about a position that doesn't involve a salary. It involves an awful lot of work and an awful lot of time. But it's still an election that has to be run, and voters that need to be contacted, and signs that need to be placed in front of houses. And any contributions that you can make to help ensure that Eric serves on the school committee, after what you've heard, I'm sure everybody wants him to, would be greatly appreciated. And I will be here as everyone is winding up, and I can get that taken care of. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for coming and supporting the election process, and most important, supporting Eric Silverman for school committee. Enjoy yourself.